our first meeting of 2019. I call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. with the roll call. Councilmember Armitage.
Here.
Councilmember Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Navarrete.
Here.
Councilmember Statico.
Here.
Vice Mayor Alonso.
Here.
And I am present. We do have a quorum. Everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Psalms 125 verse 1 tells us that when we fully trust in the Lord, our life becomes solid and unshakable. Lord, we invite your presence into this meeting. Fill us with the wisdom we need to make right choices and good decisions. Bless the work of our hands so that others are blessed as well. We thank you for helping us to do our very best. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I would like to acknowledge that yesterday, January 9th, was National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. And so thank you to all of our police officers for your service in our town. We are grateful and we appreciate everything that you do. Thank you very much.
Yes, now you may sit down. And we do want to thank all of our law enforcement. You protect our community and we appreciate the work that you do. So thank you, and thank you, Chaplain Van Gorp. We are going to move one particular agenda item up before our special presentations, and that is agenda item A, discussion and possible approval of appointment of an applicant to fill the vacant seat on the town council. This vacant seat of the town council is a council-appointed position. We received one letter of interest to fill the vacant position on the town council. This position was left vacant after the primary election. There were 3 open seats and only 2 were filled. Mr. Gilbert Aguilar submitted his letter of interest to serve on the council for the term of 4 years, and he would like to rejoin us back on the team. So, council, yes.
I make a motion to appoint Gilbert Aguilar on the Superior Town Council.
There's a motion by Councilmember Statico, a second by Vice Mayor Alonso. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and we will now have Judge Bravo administer the oath, and you can rejoin us on the dais. Councilmember Aguilar. You got it.
After I was moved,
You got it. 10-day sabbatical.
1 day out of office, and I'm moved.
Jim, can you, would you take some pictures for us, please?
So we're not supposed to photograph the judge putting his
I
robe
don't know that that's necessarily newsworthy, but.
I, Gilbert Aguilar,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and defend them against all enemies,
and defend them against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of the office
discharge the duties of the office
of council member
of council member
for the town of Superior
for the town of Superior
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Betty, grab a picture picture with you and Gilbert really quick. Please. Yeah, Gilbert and Betty.
Hey.
For years.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Good to see that,
You have some welcome,
even though I lost my seat.
you have a welcoming statement. Good to have all the seats filled, and thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Aguilar, for coming back, and thank you to your family for supporting your decisions to stay with us. So thank you, Ms. Betty, we appreciate that. We do have several special presentations tonight. Our first special presentation is by Pinal County Sheriff Lamb. And before he starts talking, I just want to make sure the community understands how appreciative we are of the services of Pinal County and Sheriff Lamb. He's been a true support to our police department, he and his entire department. We've had some really big challenges this year, both internally and externally, with some pretty high-profile cases. And it's been great that our department's been able to lean on you, and you've been so supportive. We greatly appreciate that. I know there's been some sensitive things that's kind of affected all of us, and we really appreciate your leadership and the positive aspect that you bring to our county by how you lead this department. It's much appreciated.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, and thank you, City Council, for having me here, Town Council. I apologize for not being up here more often, and we truly do appreciate your kind words and the appreciation. We are very dedicated to this county. We're dedicated to all the towns and cities within our county. I saw this, and it says a special presentation by Sheriff Lamb. What's special is it's going to be short. So that's what's special about it. I just wanted to reiterate, our commitment to your town, our commitment to your police department, and our desire to make sure that we do everything we can to have a safe community here, to support the businesses that are in this area, to support the police department. We're committed to helping you in your search for the chief. We support Chief Ensley now, and we will do whatever we can to support you in this process, and whatever the outcome, we'll support that as well. So we are doing well at the county. Our jail numbers tend to fluctuate around 500. When we took office, we were at about 700 plus. We typically run about 5 to 550 now. A lot of it is doing part of the county attorney, working with him, making sure that we keep those bond amounts low, so that we're not holding people on $200 bonds for 2-3 months, costing the taxpayers. We've implemented a lot of different programs within the jail. Our Humvee program, which is our housing unit for military veterans. It's one of the things we're most proud of in our jail. Right now, we have a 0% recidivism rate amongst the veterans who have been in our facility and been through the program. We're currently close to full staffing. When we get up there, we'll be able to do a little bit better of making sure we get our guys up here every now and then and helping out where we can. My main message tonight in the presentation is just to thank you for the support we get at the sheriff's office, and just to remind you that we are here to support however we can. And our goal is to have a safe county. I think that we've had a lot of national exposure, and it's brought a lot of attention to Pinal County, and I think as a county as a whole, we've done a really good job of making people want to come here and see the beautiful things. Your area up in this area has some of the most beautiful parts of our county, and we enjoy being able to all experience that together. So thank you everybody for the support. Thank you, Town Manager. And anything you guys need, just let us know, and I'll try to be better about not being such a stranger at the Town Council meeting. So, see, we told you, short and sweet. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Our second presentation for this evening is a presentation of our TAP report by Leslie Dornfield, FAICP Principal, Kristen Keener Busby of AICP Director of ULI Arizona, and CJ Eisenberg Hager, Director of Health and Community Policies.
Good evening, Mayor Lear, members of the Town Council. It's a pleasure to be back here in Superior this evening. Colleague Leslie Dornfield joins me. I'm with the Urban Land Institute. For any of you, do I just advance this question? If you don't know who the Urban Land Institute, who we are. We are a land use think tank that's been in existence for about over 80 years. Our membership base comprises 42,000 members across the globe in 38 countries, spans the broad sector of the development community, land use, architecture, public and private sector. And I'd say some of our pillars of what we do is education to the industry, to the community, technical assistance, working with communities, be a neutral convener. You won't see us down at the legislature lobbying, but we have a lot of experience working with communities. And the program that we worked with you on, and partnered with you on in the spring, it's called the Arizona TAP program, the Technical Assistance Panel Program. And essentially it was put in place to help communities work through myriad land use development questions. I often will equate it to bringing in sort of a mini think tank to kind of sit down and think about different ideas and ways to work with community members on different challenges. We have, as I mentioned, our membership base is pretty vast, and so we use this program, we link that vast expertise to help work with communities on offering some of the different strategies and best practice market solutions that are out there. And we did this TAP, and I guess it was in May. It's been a bit of time it has taken place, but we had worked for a bit of time before that. Most TAPs take about 3 to 4 months to put together. Leslie had been working with Todd here in the community, and we've been talking about some of the different ideas and brought ULI to the table. And we had some specific goals for the TAP, was to think about how to incorporate health into the built environment here and into the social fabric, and to examine opportunities for this beautiful natural setting here and how that could be more of a catalyst for economic development and ecotourism. And then start looking at some of the tools that can be used for ongoing downtown revitalization to kind of support some of the efforts that have been already going on, and really to start honing in on some economic development strategies. So as I mentioned, it TAPs take a little bit of time to put together. We're here tonight bringing you a report that encapsulates the summary recommendations of the panel experts that were here in May, some of the ideas that they analyzed that day. But what we do on the very front end is we work pretty closely with the community, and we work with the mayor and Manager Todd to define some of the challenges of the scope. We talk to stakeholders here in the community and start developing some really key questions we wanted the panelists to focus on. The panel is provided briefing materials that cover a variety of aspects of this area, data, statistics, population information. I want to make a quick thank you to Liz Mota and Mike Phelan, who is part of our ASTAP committee, and he was actually a panelist himself who helped put together the briefing materials for this process. And then we figure out who are the best minds that can weigh in on the questions that are in front of us. Often we had, in this particular task, we had a pretty awesome expert panel of legal, housing expert, somebody who had been head of the Office of Tourism, infrastructure, finance expert, person who's CJ Hager, who couldn't be here tonight, but expert in how to do building healthy placemaking. And then we come in for the day, and we had a really great site tour with the mayor and Todd, drove us around and looked at all the different, some of the different assets and acres life it goes, and we try to encapsulate it, all the notes into a report, and that's what we're bringing to you tonight. So I'm not going to take a lot of time to go through these slides, to leave you any time for questions, and they're in the report, but just to talk to you a little bit about what's in the report. We did look at, a lot of your strengths and your opportunities, and maybe some of the challenges and threats that existed. Obviously, when you come into Superior, the natural environment, the beauty just envelopes you, and you already know that. Your downtown has bones for, it is what it is, the quintessential downtown. I'm an urban planner. When I moved to Arizona, I came here to do planning school, and this was the community that has been in my sight for the entire 20 years I've lived here, is what you consider like the downtown, a strong downtown. And then, of course, your proximity to the metro area, and you have a lot of good already some recent investments. We had, the panel was guided by the questions that we had worked for a bit of time to develop, and they were focused in six areas: building health into place, how you could use public spaces and civic anchors as catalysts for revitalization, housing, including how you can rehab some of your existing housing, what you might think about bringing to the market and affordable market rate housing, diversifying the economy, some of your recreation and tourism opportunities, and some more of your commercial and market opportunities. The building health into place, and I just want to say a thank you to Vitalist Health Foundation, because they did provide the funding to support the resources for this ASTAC. It definitely helps enable smaller communities like Superior to take advantage of this program. And why Vitalist is doing this really is because, to be proactive with health outcomes. I mean, hospitals spend a lot of money on hospital beds and prescriptions and downstream effects of health, but what we've discovered is that a lot of the upstream, the built environment effects, have such tremendous impact on the overall health of our different groups in the community. And so we use some of the principles and the guidelines that are related to building healthy placemaking as we talked through the questions and the information that day in the ASTAC. And so one of the big questions that some of the panels left on the table is really making sure that you ask that question: how the overall health of the different groups in Superior either benefit or are affected by different decisions, and how you can embed some of that into your plans and policies in subtle ways. But they're a true resource for helping with that, and have a lot of information, particularly on their website. And we organize a lot of the ideas for the day around how you build community, into really how you can reveal how the special place Superior is, and how you can continue to help this community kind of growing into what you want it to be, the vision. A couple of the panelists that day kind of had a profound question, and it resonated as just making, having the mining history here is a defining element of redevelopment efforts, and leveraging your unique sense of place, but asking that question: is Superior a mining town or a town with a mine? I mean, there's the answer for you and how you build that vision around. But you're so close to Phoenix, and really you busy, it's just so close to Phoenix for people to kind of go to for the day. And then how you build the community framework to support all of this. And there was so many different ideas going around, many of them about how you can develop the development guidelines and some of the planning tools, the commercial pedestrian access and safety, especially along US 60 as it kind of bifurcates, your town right now. How mapping some of the community assets and how you can kind of weave that together through planning and design strategies. Improving your downtown image, and there was some information about an effort that you had to clean up some properties and release it back to the market, and it's sort of an innovative idea, but the panel was particularly taken with it and thought it should be developed more into a case study and marketed, because that would kind of help promote some of the things that you're doing, and actually and help other communities in a similar vein. And then enhancing the sense of arrival. I mean, some of this is, you you already know it, we're probably validating some of the ideas you've already been thinking about and already have, but just helping to find Main Street. Getting cars to slow down, there's some simple interventions and different things that you can do to get people to come off onto Main Street. And there were some good ideas that day. And then we had probably one of our foremost housing experts in the state, Sally Schwan with Gorman Companies, was on the panel. I think it's such an asset to have her, and some of the ideas she put forth about, different ways you can compile grant programs and housing assistance programs to rehab and repurpose some existing housing stock, and other ideas that are more innovative today about seizing opportunities for things like the tiny home movement and bringing multifamily and affordable multifamily options in Superior. And then other questions moved on with being more building the economy and what that means here. And clearly, you already have like a high focus on tourism, but really honing in on that as your near-term potential and leveraging your museum and the natural environment and mining history as it is. And then, but also looking and bringing new markets to brand the town, whether that's something to do with culinary arts, farm to table. Aho has had huge success in this. We had Sherry Henry, who had been, she's with Grace Hospitality now, but she had been a lead with the Arizona Office of Tourism, and she talked a lot about the 4 pillars that tourism focuses on: culinary, adventure, well-being, and heritage. And you hit all the marks here in Superior and how you can start planning and focusing around, your local brochure here is such a cornerstone. It's important to find those anchors and kind of like build them up. You do have some people leaving town to go for services and goods outside, so trying to find ways to like keep the sales dollars here. And we had one gentleman who was Jay Featherston, who talked a lot about come out here. He's one of the always out mountain biking and hiking, and he had great ideas about how you could have like a more one-stop brochure with like trails and things like that, but then also your social media and telling the story and just finding those influencers like him who could like start hashtagging things. It's kind of out of my realm of expertise, but he had a lot of good ideas that day. And then using a lot of the senior public spaces and vacant underutilized buildings right now more for spaces of opportunity. There's some pretty easy low-cost interventions you can do in the short term to kind of transition them into longer-term assets. We talked a lot about the recreation and tourism opportunities and really leveraging this unique sense of place that's here. It just really doesn't exist anywhere in the near adjacent area of the metro region. Your partnership with Boyce Thompson should be lauded and looked at to, how much you can promote that and maybe start doing some like more overnight eco-education trips. And then you're already on the path to solidify your overnight visitation market if you're in a hotel study. The panel thought that was a good idea and leveraging the findings of that study to build a case for a hotel and just really attracting people more through their consistent events, maybe expanding some of them, both drawing people in and then also the people who are here, so that push-pull model already. We had somebody, it's always, when we do these tax overviews, always the finance part. It's how do you do it? Where's the money? How do we make this happen? It's the toughest part of the equation in any of the communities. We had Michael Vasquez with RBC Capital here and talked a lot about some of the tools you could use through special assessment and GIPLET and exactions and just different ways you could do development agreements. And then talked to some degree of bond financing. But even before we came here, and I'm sure you've had plenty of people coming to talk to you about really that opportunity zone designation is the opportunity and how you can do that. And I just will circle back that Vitalist Health Foundation is also a big resource in that space, but on the community side, really helping communities get prepared for how they can make sure that the investment that does come in their community fits within their vision. and it's not something contrary. You have, as evidenced by the room full here tonight, a community that has a lot of attachment to place and how you can already harness that energy and like kind of build that local energy and leadership. Youth is always a big asset and thinking about how they can help be community problem solvers. But as we talked about, like how you can enhance connectivity between different anchors, the pool, the high school, to your downtown, some of the panels thought, really think about your youth in that space and help, maybe they can help you do like walkability assessments. It's amazing what you learn when you look through their eyes. And then there's a lot to, sometimes in these community development spaces, like there's a lot to do and thinking about what bite to take first, but really to just prioritize and stay focused through small steps will be kind of help start. And then the report that you all now have in front of you, I just want to just make a note that there are some tables that sort of have more easy, ready summaries of ideas and actions that you can take, but you're not going to be able to get it here. We can sort of put it here just to let you know that it's in there. And I'll invite you to have any questions. And feel free to.
Council, any questions?
I had a comment. I'm sorry. I had a comment. Oh, wow. Anyway, I think all of us agree that our biggest thing is lodging, If we would entice people to come in and give us a place to lodge overnight, especially the ones coming to Arboretum. That's one of our big things.
Yeah, and they talked about that, and it's hard to think that a hotel, getting the national hotel operators, that's a challenge. Sherry had a few ideas that day that she left on the table, but even thinking more about the Airbnb, the RVO market, sort of the bed and breakfast model to start.
But she also mentioned that, I think she was saying, some of the larger national hotels are creating sort of more boutique models, and I can't remember the particular brand that she spoke about. But she said there's certainly opportunities to begin to reach out to them and figure out what they need to open, and then begin to get that here, so that that's come. So that was one of her, and she had a list of things. I'm sorry, I don't remember them offhand. I think some of them.
Yeah, she would be a resource. I would definitely reach back out to Sherry. She's an asset of ideas.
Well, it was an honor to have been selected, and we're very thankful for Viola's investment in the ULI. I know that just about everybody who served on the TAP has reached out in one other form or another. We've ran into them at another event, and it's great to have so many other partners helping to tell our story. One of the key points you put in there, and you guys should mark as a done when you're reporting back, is a relationship with REI and Resolution, and that was successfully put together, and REI is now offering climbing classes on the Resolution Copper property, and they are looking to bring back a pretty significant climbing event this spring. So we're really excited about that, and I think this exercise helped us to all solidify that the direction we're going in and the things that we're working on are all positive, and this will just continue to be a good tool for us to refer back to as we continue on in all of our endeavors. So thank you all for your help, Council, unless you have any other further questions or comments.
Thank you.
And I would just, if I could, if you don't mind, I think Todd put in front of you an agenda, because as part of our partnership with our technical assistance communities, we always extend an invitation to the public officials and staff and the communities to attend our Marquee Trends Day event, which is in 2 weeks, January 25th, complimentary. It's a one-day event, and there's a lot of great ideas, and even are some topics around placemaking and housing and finance and private transportation and a lot of different things. So I think you might get a lot of value on it. So if you're interested in attending, maybe you can just reach out to Todd and get some names on the baby register.
Definitely. Council, if you'd like to attend, let Todd know so we can make your arrangements.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great work. Brad Meekum, Economic Development and Planning Manager from CAG, and he's going to give us an update on the parks capital improvements plan.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I appreciate your time tonight. I told I would make more friends if I was a little bit shorter than longer, so I'll try to be your friend tonight as Todd pulls us up. First things first, we are working on the capital improvement plan for parks within the community. And so what that entails right now is we're wrapping up the existing conditions. We did a survey of the community and just wanted to present to you some of the things that we've been doing and what we'll be doing in the future. And this will wrap up in March. First things first, I don't think I need to get too detailed with this. Just different parks and the sizes of parks have different area boundaries, and so we mapped that out of what boundaries, service area boundaries each park has. So smaller parks obviously have much smaller service area boundaries. So you have the smaller parks that you have are our Essex Park and the Magna Club. Magna Club used for events, basketball court, and then also Essex Park has some shelters, some tables, some seating, some landscaping, and nice space near downtown. Neighborhood parks are the next one, 1 to 5 acres, or about a half-mile radius. There's Highland Park, which isn't developed into a park yet. It's an opportunity for potential park development, and this pool and skate park. And so we just inventoried everything that's within the community, went to the US 60 park, Police Park, whatever you want to call it. 5 to 25 acres serves a 1 mile radius. That radius pretty much fits all of the residential developments within your community. So there are some opportunities for some more what's called pocket parks or mini parks in maybe the southeast portion of the town, but you're pretty well covered based on sort of the national averages. One of the things that we also used was to compare the town versus national averages, just to give you guys a sense of where you're at compared to the national landscape. So residents per park is 2,114, so the fact that you have multiple parks is you're ahead of the game there. Acres of land per 1,000 residents is 10.1, little short on that. Full-time employees per 10,000 residents is 7.9, so that would put Superior at about 2 full-time employees dedicated specifically to parks. Currently that's managed under Public Works, and so might be an opportunity there. And it always comes down to funding. I mean, I say these things just passively, but you know, you got to have the money to be able to justify having a position. And then revenue to operating expenditures, 28%. That's for every dollar that's spent on parks, 28 cents is recouped through some type of fee, whether that would be like the Magna Club being rented out or just being direct revenue generated from the actual parks themselves. And then the operating expenditures per capita, so it's $78 about per year spent per person on parks. And then 1 indoor recreation center per 27,000 residents. So the fact that that is something that's on your radar, a recreation center, is definitely a really positive thing for the size of the town. So that's just kind of comparing to some of the national averages. We also compared just some of the populations and parks budgets and number of facilities and number of employees of some of the communities within Arizona, similar size, a little smaller, just to give you a flavor of what's out there and what other communities are doing. So Bisbee, for example, has a population of just over 5,000, spent about $200,000 on parks, have 14 park facilities and 1 full-time and 2 part-time employees. Benson, you know, I'm just going through the list. And currently, in the previous budget, Superior has a $5,000 Parks and Recreation budget with an acknowledgement that will increase in the future. I did recognize that. And then there's also $40,000 spent on the pool. And it's kind of difficult in some of these communities to make comparisons just because Public Works kind of, in smaller communities, people wear lots of different hats. And so to be able to pull it out and pull everything out perfectly is a little difficult. But I did my best to make comparisons that were rational to communities that had highway or freeway access in semi-close proximity or at least population size. So we completed a survey through SurveyMonkey. It's a pretty common tool that's utilized by a lot of municipalities, a lot of corporations. We had 118 responses. We had pretty good age distribution on that. That was pushed out through Facebook, and for 118, that's pretty good response rate. There was a lot of interest. There were a lot of people. There was probably about 20 to 25 people at the first public meeting we had. Largest respondent groups were 25 to 39 and 18 to 24. Wasn't really any major trends based on age. Like sometimes, pick on people, but pickleball is something that like seniors would typically sign up for, or there's other things that are geared toward youth. But there wasn't really any major trends. It's pretty even across the board. We asked people where they lived, just in proximity to either the high school, Main Street, or the downtown, or the Superior Lumberyard, or the southeast side of town. It was trying to make it as clear as possible, kind of what they live closest to. That way, if there was a distribution or a trend in one area of town, say in the instance of the southeast side of town, the Lumberyard, which is also the most densely populated area of town, there were a lot more people, a little more skewed towards having a playground. And if you think about it, that makes sense. The other playground is on the north side of the 60. There's kind of that physical barrier of getting across the street. So that was something that was a little more skewed towards them. But basically, the survey results, you can't see all of them. I think we had 17 different options on there. A recreation center was clearly the #1 favorite, with almost 70% of people being able to say that that's what they wanted. Having an indoor recreation space, especially in the summer, 100% makes sense, just based on the temperatures that we experience here. Baseball, softball field was #2. A lot of mention of previous tournaments and the opportunities to try to bring people in. We just had a presentation, and one of the things talked about was tourism and parks and tournaments and things like that are a good way to bring people in. And if you have, once again, that hotels and those aspects, that makes it a lot easier. Playground equipment is #3. Lighting at existing facilities, which is lighting in general, was #4. And picnic shelters was #5. And as I said, there we go. Distribution, pretty much across the board, was pretty much the same. Recreation center, baseball, softball fields, pretty much #1 and 2, depending on the area of town. The playground equipment followed suit after that. Lighting and picnic shelter. The only kind of two things that stood out to me in this was basketball court by the high school, and then the playground equipment. It's the same position, it's #3, but it skewed. It was a stronger #3 than anywhere else in the community, and we'll detail this out in the report, and we'll be making recommendations and developing those with some input and considerations from tonight and anything we hear back from staff and from council.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Any response to a dog park?
Can I go backward? You go.
Council Armitage is that goes to straight to his heart.
Yeah, so a dog park is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
It's halfway in the middle of the
It's
pack.
halfway in the middle of the pack.
Sorry, Bruce.
That's not bad.
Well, and there's some consideration there too. If you do some larger projects, a dog park is not going to be something that's very expensive. If you already have land, putting up the fencing, and a lot of times that's all that it is fencing. Sometimes people put little tunnels or whatever in there, but that's typically a project that could get done. If you're down to $10,000 left of the CDBG money, that could be something that could easily be inserted in, and it is something that's desired. So yes, it was on there.
Not only that, it's halfway, right? Halfway on your list, and not everybody has a dog.
Yeah. Is that a pet project? Fun intended.
I believe it is a pet project. I believe there's some furry family members that are really lobbying their council members pretty hard for a dog park. So.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
You know, yeah, it was popular at the public meeting, and it did pretty well on the survey as well, so that way. Racquetball, and I think, I can't read that. I know racquetball, pickleball, and sand volleyball courts were kind of not super popular right now.
I think our biggest problem was property. Remember, we were, at one time, the Diamondbacks were interested in helping with ballparks by the pool, but we couldn't get the properties, and that was what was hurting us.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think there's some opportunities. I know I've talked to Todd to redevelop or develop around the 60 park currently, that there might be an opportunity there. And then reaching out to some of the professional organizations is a good idea. The Phoenix Suns also do some stuff with basketball courts, and it's a good way for them to provide outreach and it's good PR for them, but it's also a great benefit for communities. And then I just wanted to quickly summarize, just kind of melded some of the comments. There were several comments. We left our box open just for people, you know, if we didn't get to what they wanted to talk about. One of the first things, one of the biggest things that people talked about was that the current parks and the facilities need to be maintained, the maintenance factor. And that's an important consideration too. When you look into the future of any new parks or facilities, that the maintenance has to be factored in, especially with staffing and the opportunity to keep things clean, keep things operating, and keep them nice. Needing something indoors during summer months to kind of capture that, and that was obviously captured in the survey that people would like desire a recreation center. Baseball, softball tournaments and past successes and future potential. Lighting of the parks and facilities and walkways, and neat things for youth to do on the weekends. So that's pretty much the long and short version of what we did for existing conditions and the survey results. We'll be compiling over the next 2 months cost estimates and timeframes and just priorities of the different things that the town of Superior can be doing with their parks. And so, yeah, there we go. Ends my presentation. Any questions or comments you have?
Council, any further questions or comments? Thank you, Brad, that was great. Thank you for the update. When do you anticipate your report's going to be done and we can start moving on to the next phase?
I plan to be here in March
Okay.
to give you the final. I'll be working with Mr. Pryor and town staff on just getting things out the door and ready for you guys.
Any last question from council or anything? Okay, well, thank you. We'll see you in March.
Thank you.
I'm going to move on quickly to staff reports. Just want to thank everybody. It seems like we had a nice, safe, and happy holidays over December. It was nice to have a little bit of quiet time. There weren't a lot of meetings going on, so that was kind of nice. On Monday, I did attend the inauguration of Governor Ducey and our statewide elected officials, and followed up with a mayor's meeting with Senator McSally. She called, invited all the mayors of Pinal County to a meeting to get to know her and make connections with her staff and share any of our federal issues that she may be helpful with. So we did share some of the issues. I-10 widening was a big discussion, the Pinal County water drought issues, the Resolution Copper Project, where we're at, the draft record of decision coming out, and then of course we have an agenda item tonight on Bronco Creek. We gave her a briefing on that as to how the town feels about that particular situation. So it's been pretty quiet. I don't have too much. Next week's a big week. We have a meeting with CPLC, that's Chicanos por la Causa, on developing our opportunity zone opportunities. And today, Todd and I had a very productive meeting with the Southern Gila County Economic Development Coalition Director, Carolia Cox, and the Director of Cobra Valley Regional Medical Center. And it's kind of been brought to our attention that both the hospital and the town probably hadn't been in full communication for quite some time. We didn't realize some of their services have improved and changed as well as things that, how we're moving and growing in the town. So it was a really refreshing meeting, and I think we're going to be probably arranging for some of our key leaders in town to go up and visit the hospital and see some of the improvements that they've made. But they can definitely do more in our community the more we utilize their services. So it was refreshing to talk with them and kind of reinvigorate our relationship. It's very new into the new year, so not too much other stuff to update. Todd, do you have anything?
I did want to remind the council that the Economic Development Council retreats on January 25th. I have received confirmation from 5 council members, but I'm still short a couple. So please do check the schedule, and if you haven't yet confirmed, please let us know if we can or can't.
Council, you did. Oh, yeah, it is the same day as the ULI thing. But one of the, on your dais today, there are some tools for you to use as you serve our community, a nice new flash drive and these nice little binder portfolios. And there is a book, Town Inc., which I have referenced in a few of my reports. But that's going to be kind of a good basis to get you thinking as we prepare for our economic development retreat. It's a pretty fast read. I read it on an airplane ride, so you can kind of skim through it. But the gentleman who writes the book writes in a pretty fun way, and he's very energetic, so you may want to check out his podcast. You might be able to download the book online to listen to it if you'd like. So that's what the book is there for, and to kick us off for the new year, some reading to move us forward. Without any more being said on that, we'll move on to the consent agenda item, which we have approval of minutes from the regular meeting on December 13, 2018, approval of Mayor Mila Vesich's decision to designate council member Michael Alonso to continue to serve as vice mayor, who shall serve at the pleasure of the council. The vice mayor shall have the powers to perform the duties of the mayor during her absence or disability. Approval of an alcohol permit for Matthew Robigo for a baby shower at the Magna Club on February 9, 2019. Approval for the town manager, Todd Pryor, to acquire a Chase corporate liability card with town of Superior with a credit line of $10,000 with no personal guarantee. This would be much easier to add and remove new cards than what the town is presently using. Everything could be done online by authorizing officer, who is the town manager. Approval of a letter to Tonto National Forest Supervisor Neil Bosworth concerning the Bronco Creek permit application, and then of course all of our department reports. Is there anything anyone wishes to have removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
There is a motion on the floor by Councilmember Armitage. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. And congratulations, Vice Mayor, on remaining in your seat. I thank you for picking up that phone call. He's very good. He always takes care of all my phone calls. We've already conducted new business item number A, so we're going to go on to new item, business item B, which is the discussion, possible approval, and presentation and acceptance of the fiscal year 2017-18 audit by Hinton Burdick. Staff recommends accepting this audit. With the acceptance of this audit, all our audits are current and ahead of deadline. Robin L. Sibley, CPA from Hinton Burdick, will have a PowerPoint presentation. This audit has already been approved and budgeted on the fiscal impact. And before we get into the presentation, I just want to make sure that we commend all of our staff. It takes the whole team to put together and get in there and get all of our audits put together. But as we've been doing kind of a where we've been in 2 years, 2 years ago we were behind on all of our audits. And it took all of us working together to get it all caught up. And this audit came back with no findings. Everybody deserves a big round of applause, and we appreciate all the work that you've put into that. I will have Ms. Sibley come up and give us her presentation.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of council. My name is Robin Sibley, and I work with Hinton Burdick. We audited the town of Superior for fiscal year 18. My purpose here tonight is just to present to you the results of that audit. So, if I'll call your attention to the PowerPoint presentation. So, our opinion was clean. There were no issues in what we refer to as an unqualified opinion, and that was the results of our final audit report. And we also have a report on internal controls over financial reporting. And we had no material weaknesses noted or no significant deficiencies noted. And this is similar to what Mayor just discussed, that we didn't have any findings and recommendations letter, which, I do call to your attention that that is a big issue, a big item, because most audits, we do have a findings and recommendations letter. So it's a big deal to not have one, and it's commendable to not have a findings and recommendations letter. So I just wanted to call that to your attention. That was really good. We do also issue a report on state and legal compliance. And in that report, we do have the finding related to the highway user revenue funds, which is the same finding that we've had in previous years. And this finding, so the highway user revenue fund is basically the streets fund. The highway user revenue fund, it has a large balance of due from other funds currently recorded in this fund. The balance as of year end is now 1.9 million, which I'll show in a graph is a reduction of what it used to be, so it is coming down. Basically what this due from other funds balance means is that over the years, other departments, other funds have been using some of the funds from this streets fund, which is legally not allowed. The funds are supposed to be used towards streets, and so that's what the finding is related to. That was from prior years, so currently this year, there were no issues, but because this due from line item is still in the fund, we still do need to report it as a finding until this balance goes away. So we're going to go through just a highlight of the funds in the town, and this is basically just a 5-year trend that kind of gives you an idea of where the funds have been financially and the trend to where they are currently. And so this is the HERT fund, this is the streets fund, and as you can tell, the top line is assets, and it's hard to tell in this graph, and I do apologize because the colors are very much the same. So I do apologize for that. It's hard to tell which line item is what. But currently there's 2.9 million assets in the streets fund. But of that balance, 1.9 million is this receivable or due from other funds that I just previously discussed. However, in this next slide, it shows that it has decreased. The receivable is currently being paid back, and this shows a good positive trend for the streets fund. Revenues are the top line item, and expenditures are the bottom, are the middle line item, or the middle bar that you see there. And so you'll see that revenues are increasing. There were some taxes that were withheld for a brief amount of time because of the funds. And this last year, you guys did receive, those funds were released, and those funds were about $348,000 that were released this year, and so that's why you see the jump in revenues this year. And expenditures increased just because of a lot of road projects that you guys are making a lot of improvements on your roads, and so that was the increase in expenditures this last year. This next graph shows the results of the general fund and the trend over the last 5 years. The general fund is showing a positive trend. It does have, it's showing improvements as the liabilities are decreasing in this fund as it continues to pay back some of those due to the HERF or the streets fund. So that is decreasing, and so that shows a good positive trend. This is also in your general fund, revenues and expenditures. The top, I went wrong. So the top line is your revenues, and the middle one is the expenditures in your general fund, and that's showing a good positive upward trend. This graph is showing your 5-year trend for your utilities funds. And this includes your refuse and your sewer. So the large decrease that you see in 2016, that was just from a transfer out to the general fund of a redistribution of property taxes. And then since then, you can see that there's a positive trend with increasing in assets and your net position within the utilities fund. The next graph shows the revenues and expenses in your utilities fund. The top line in this graph is expenditures, and that middle line is revenues. The line that goes up and down is basically just transfers that are happening within the fund. So as you can tell within your utilities funds, there is a consistent trend of expenses being greater than revenues. And typically in a utilities fund or a business type fund, you would like to have some net income in order to be able to cover depreciation, to save up for future capital improvements that you need to make. We do know and recognize that the town has recently had some rate studies done, and with plans to possibly increase sewer rates, which will really help this fund being able to get into positive in the future. And the last fund we wanted to go over today is the ambulance fund, just to give you an idea of where it is standing and where it has been over the last 5 years. The ambulance fund, this top line item is liabilities, the middle is asset, and the bottom is net position for the ambulance fund. So it has consistently does have a negative fund balance, but as you'll, on this next graph, it shows revenues and expenses trend. And this last year, in fiscal year 18, it did have a net income, a positive effect on net position. So net position did increase this last year. That was largely due to a transfer in that was made to help cover the purchase of an ambulance. And so those were that's the trends for your major funds within your government. Overall, the town in total, including governmental funds and your business type funds, is doing well. Your net position is $4.5 million, which is an increase from last year that was $4.2 million. And so over time, you can kind of see the financial health of a town or city based on this total net position and if it's increasing or decreasing. And so I see that the town of Superior is increasing and showing positive trends. And so that's a really great thing. Our audit went very well. We had a lot of great help from the accounting staff and also from your accounting assistants, Colby and Powell. I think between the two of them, they worked really well together, and that helped result in a timely audit, and it also helped result in no findings this last year. So are there any questions?
Council, any questions? So, thank you very much. Thank you. We appreciate all your hard work, and again, congratulations to staff. We're very proud of you, and all of us working the OES, we do have to approve it, so.
I'll make a motion to approve,
There's,
to accept fiscal year 2017-18 audit by Hitten.
there's a motion to accept the audit by Councilmember Statico. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Navarrete. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you again to everyone who helped with the audit today. Okay, we're going to move on to, this isn't a public hearing for it. Oh, yes, it's a public hearing. So, okay, at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing for discussion and possible approval of the ordinance 19-153, an ordinance from the town of Superior rezoning property from the urban residential R1-5 zone district to the planned development PD zone district. The current recommendation by our staff recommends adopting ordinance number 19-153. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on this matter on January 3rd, 2019, and passed resolution number 2019-01, a resolution recommending that council approve a zone change from the R1-5 zone district to the PD zone district for the property located at 545 Porphyry Street in Superior. Discussion. The purpose of this rezoning is to provide affordable housing near the downtown center of the town. The town's general plan designates this property as medium density residential, MDR, which allows 8 dwelling units per acre. However, a general plan designation, unlike a zoning designation, is not intended to establish a hard line. Instead, it is general in nature and can be shifted a reasonable amount. The property in question is located in close proximity to the downtown mixed-use DMU land use designation, which is compatible to the PD zone district. This PD zone district is intended to encourage the revitalization of existing structures for a more urban residential development. It is further the intent of the PD zone district to allow the continuation of previous town standards with the older sections of the community while encouraging higher residential densities. If any of the provisions of the proposed project are not specified in the PD zone district, including but not limited to proposed projects are not specified in the PD zone district, including but not limited to dimensions, site grading, circulation, design review, lighting, paving, parking, screening, landscaping, or setbacks, the provisions of the town zoning ordinances shall apply. There's no fiscal impact to the town, and so at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing for council to hear comments from the public, or if the property owners are here and you'd like to tell us about your project, you're welcome to talk to us a little bit.
Let me give you a little brochure of what we're going to be doing. Hello, everyone. Scott Summers and Deke and I are partnering into a partnership to revitalize the old Exit Homes building, 545 West Porphyry. As you can see on there, we're trying to put 4 apartments on the 2 floors. That's our main goal. So we're looking at putting a staircase in the front, a staircase in the rear, for access on the front, the top floor. It's going to be I think there's 700 square feet, basically. 700 square feet. Each apartment will be 2-bedroom, possibly 2-bath. And very affordable. It's $700 or $650 to $700. So that's our plan. What's that cross street?
I'm sorry?
Cross street and Porphyry? Think so? Yeah, nice.
We're really excited about this. This is a really great building, as you know. You saw the roof go on. It kind of really changed the whole look of that building very quickly. It really gave us a lot of encouragement to see what a small, it's not a big thing, but it's a small thing in comparison to everything else that's doing. It changed, it showed the durability of that building, how long it's been in that kind of disrepair. Putting a roof on and seeing how all the structure was so well put together. It was incredible, because it was built really well in 1991. Can't really know exactly when it was built.
Does the basement exist already?
Yeah,
The
it still
slope in
does.
the back?
No, it's underneath the first floor. It's a third of the first floor is basement. It's not really a usable basement living is more of like heating and cooling, hot water heaters, that kind of thing. I mean, you could, we could, but we're not
Someone looking to rent a cave, maybe.
It's kind of cavey, it's kind of creepy. There's no windows or anything down there. If you have a bad relative, let us know.
Well, if Batman's looking for a place, we'll let him know.
Yeah.
Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Summers or do you?
This is not a low income.
There's no government help. We can do Section 8 there, if need be. If we have a candidate in Section 8, we can certainly maintain that.
Does each unit have their own utilities?
Yes.
And what kind, how is it going to be, how are they cooled? What kind of air conditioning system?
It's a 2 or 3 ton unit. It's going to be.
Forced air?
I'm sorry?
Forced air?
Yeah, forced air, yes. Central air.
Okay, I'm gonna move on.
Just a question, I'm sorry. Handicap accessibility. If you've got upstairs, would the bottom floors be?
And those would be accessible, absolutely.
Okay.
But down upstairs, no.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I think this is a really great project. It's very exciting. It was exciting to come to Town Hall and see the skyline change when you put the roof on. So thank you. You're taking on a big, huge project. At this time, I'm going to take any questions or comments from the public. This is your chance to address the council before we make a final decision. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address?
I just have a question, you also have separate water meters?
No, we have to pay for all the water.
I just say quickly, and I have not looked at Scott's plans or anything, but, you know, this fits in with the kind of thing that we want to do in this town. It brings more housing in, it saves a building that frankly looked like it was on the way out. And I think it definitely fits into where we want to go with the town of Superior.
Ms. Anderson?
I would like to echo what Jim just said, and Scott has done a tremendous job on what 8 or 10 houses, Scott, in this community that were falling down, ready for the bulldozer, and he's done a beautiful job on all of them, and it's quite an addition. I hope that you will approve this evening, and it's great, and of course it was a tremendous boost in much needed housing. We all know we have a housing problem here.
Okay, is there any further questions or comments? Ruby, did you get all the comments? I didn't have them get up. Did you get everybody? Okay.
The only thing, I have one more question. What is your ETA on this project?
Well, we'd like it tomorrow.
Is it a year long?
We got the building department to go through in Florence, and then they have to approve our plans, and then it's probably a month before we really start construction. It's about 3 months. Because you know, the funny thing is, it's all there. The apartments are just really a filling, because it's all there, all 4 walls. There's no interior walls or anything to obstruct any kind of construction process. It's pretty simple. A lot easier than the other project developments now. We've got some more. Yeah, this is an easy one. Or not easy, but it's not as hard as it looks. So it's 3 months good construction.
I'm sure when you're done, the chamber will be ready to have a ribbon cutting for you. So we
Right.
need to get to some action
Okay.
points here. So thank you for your presentation. Thank you, public, for your comments.
Can I ask an unrelated question to the public? Kind of unrelated,
I
it's
will-
related but unrelated.
I will allow you this.
I'd like to know how many people attended the P and Z meeting regarding this issue. Thank you. Okay, thanks.
All right. So with that being said, I'm going to close the public hearing as there's no further public remarks. Council, at this time, we are looking for action on this item, either approval or denial.
I would like to,
The Councilmember Aguilar had
I like to approve.
Councilmember Aguilar has a motion to approve ordinance 19-153. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Navarrete. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. We're very excited for you. It's going to be a big boost for that neighborhood, so thank you very much. we're gonna move on to agenda item D, the long-awaited final Superior Hotel feasibility study. At our town council meeting on January 11, 2018, an agreement was approved with Rebuild Superior Inc. for the creation of a hotel feasibility study, a study of possible development and economic viability of hotels in our community. This would be used to attract new businesses to Superior. The final Superior Hotel feasibility study is now completed and is a 32-page complete study. The study was paid for by using a grant through Resolution Copper, and I believe Rebuild Superior also added some of their funds to complete that. Ms. LaFrance is with us today, and I don't know if you'd like to give us a couple of highlights, or if you just would prefer me to do it.
Go ahead.
Okay, the study, council, is very comprehensive. It talks about a lot of issues. It has proven that immediately, right now, not even right now, we did it yesterday, is that Superior can sustain at least a 60-room hotel, and we need about 5,000 square foot of meeting space. As many of you have heard us talk about the G6 group, which is representatives of the school district, the Rebuild Superior, the chamber, and the town. We're meeting to discuss how do we best market this study. So these studies all have a certain livability time. So we've already had a meeting with VHP to discuss critical highway properties that are available for potential development of the hotel. So I think you'll see some more action around that. And with some funding that Rebuild has received, I believe, from USDA, they'll be getting money to market the study. And we'll be attending a conference later this spring in Las Vegas to shopping and retailer developers to pitch our projects, our proposed projects in Superior. But this is just a first phase. The study does indicate that as Superior grows, as the Resolution Copper project comes online, and expansion of the Arboretum, we will need additional hotels. So this is a very good work done by Rebuild. They managed the project, managed the committees, and worked with our contractors. So thank you for your hard work. And council, to make it officially official, we do need your approval of the study. Do you have any questions?
I move to approve the final Superior Hotel feasibility study.
Second.
There's a motion by Councilmember Navarrete with a second by Councilmember Estatico. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move on to discussion, possible approval of Resolution 19-605, a resolution of the Mayor and Town Council of Superior, Arizona, authorizing the firm of Cooper and Reeder, LLP, as town attorney to file a judicial abatement and judicial foreclosure lawsuit to abate certain public nuisance properties within the town of Superior, Arizona. Staff recommends approving this item. Discussion, Section 3. The town mayor and town manager are hereby authorized and directed to pay all sums necessary to acquire the real properties together with reasonable and necessary delinquent taxes, attorney fees, costs of recording fees, escrow and title fees, closing, and all other reasonable costs and expenses necessary to acquire the real property. Property number 1 is Pinal County tax parcel number 106-12-19345, which is, the address is 458 Newmont Street. The access lien is $4,000. Delinquent taxes are $2,344.74. The title report cost is $150. Property cleanup, $2,500, and the EPA Phase 1 assessment is $1,500. Property number 2 is Pinal County tax parcel number 106-12-032. The address is 309 North Magma Avenue. The access lien is $1,500. Delinquent taxes are $4,413.74. Title reports are $150. Property cleanup is $1,850. And the EPA Phase 1 assessment is $1,500. The cost of the above expenses, there will also be services for recording fees and publication fees as well. And Todd, do you want to give a quick explanation? I know council's had a few other emails, but on what the foreclosure is and why we're doing it.
Right now, the access lanes is a little deceptive to say the liens were $4,000 and $1,500. They were $215,000 and $140, I believe, roughly. Access has, through our contacts and all the work we've done, agreed to release those liens for a very small amount of money. The entire intent of this is to get these properties into new owners' names so that they can be rehabbed. They are, the current owners are either elderly people in a nursing home or an elderly person in a nursing home who is deceased. When you go into a nursing home, if you want Medicaid, you're required to sign over the title to your house. Unfortunately, access number forecloses. So the family stops paying taxes, nobody's maintaining the property, they rot into the street, as we've seen. So we have been going around and systematically taking these on. There have been, this will be, of the 11 on our abandoned building list, this will mean 6 of them are no longer there. The hope is if we continue this program and we are able to sell these properties to get the revenue back that we're expending on them, we can continue and take the entire 11 building list on this year. So it's essentially a self-supporting program if we can turn around and sell these properties. The estimated values we have are maybe $15,000 to $20,000 on each building. We have about $10,000 of expenses into them. That money can be turned around and used to accelerate the blight program.
Council, any further questions or comments on this?
Yeah, I have a question. So if we approve and we pay these fees, what's usually the timeline? You know, does it usually?
Mayor, council members, the timeline is, the plan's drafted, we're ready to go. And and I know that it's been a long meeting tonight, but you have made a priority to basically get this town cleaned up. And we're doing code enforcement. Officer Britton has been doing a wonderful job getting properties to comply. One of the problems that we have is we have abandoned buildings in the community, which nobody can do anything with. Your town manager basically and the mayor spearheaded, and other council members spearheaded a summit with elected officials basically saying, what do we do? And this comes from those discussions about those liens that we're talking about in this case. So just so you know that the out-of-pockets on this thing, looking at the taxes on the property and what you've paid so far, you're going to be into these properties about $20,000. If someone wants to come in and stop the proceeding, once we move forward, they're going to have to pay you back what you've got into this. Now, because this is a foreclosure action, we will go to court. We are going to basically pay the property taxes that are delinquent, so we will have the first place in line. We're going to negotiate resolutions with those access liens and the long-term care liens. The statute, as we read it, basically gives us priority. However, it will cost us that much money to compromise and settle the lien that it would be to litigate whether they're right or we're right. And once we get this to a judgment, basically we have a sheriff's sale. Basically, we make a credit bid of what we've got into the properties, and there's a 30-day redemption period that a party can come in and take the property. Because the properties are abandoned, titles in our name, we then can sell it for whatever we can get for it, and then it comes back to you to decide, put it back in the general fund, or take the monies and go after the next buildings on the list. I'm not aware of anybody in the county, taking these type of actions in any of the communities that I'm aware of, and so this is really kind of an extraordinary first step for a community basically saying enough is enough. If you're not going to clean it up, we're going to clean it up for you.
Council, any further questions or comments on this? This is a great big first step, so good job, Motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 19-605.
Okay. You know that you guys got mics and Gilbert and Bruce.
All of a sudden, that side woke up.
We've been waiting the whole time. Just haven't heard this before.
So then, for the record, the count, 16, we don't even use the gavel, it's way over there. For the record, Councilmember Armitage made a motion to accept resolution, to approve resolution number 19-605 with a second by Councilmember Aguilar. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Great work, council.
Tell Bruce not to hit me anymore.
Now, I'm only allowed to rearrange seats, I think, once a year, but I'm sure, Mr. Cooper, if I talk to the attorney, if I have to move you guys around, I will. Okay, agenda item F, discussion on Judge Larry Bravo's employment status as a magistrate judge. This is a town council appointed position. Judge Larry Bravo's, we need to discuss Judge Larry Bravo's employment status as magistrate judge. Council, at this time, and Judge Bravo, I know you want to address us, but we do need to get some legal advice on this because it's an employment matter, and we are also waiting on, I think, some understanding from Pinal County on some of the specificities of this. So I'd like for a motion to adjourn for the council, our clerk, town manager, and attorney to go into executive session for no more than 30 minutes, and then we will come out and hear your discussion. Is there a motion? There's, everybody's done.
Make a motion to go into executive session with the town council, the town manager, and the town attorney, and town clerk for no longer than 30 minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Lopez, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. We'll be back in 30 minutes. Probably less than that. Yes, and have a little stretching motion.
We got three other channels. Okay. Thanks for being here.
You got it.
You got it.
I wanted to say call the public, but I didn't make it, so, you know, kudos to you guys on the code enforcement.
You're welcome.
Just to throw a chain around the whole phone. Just have
It's harder for them to go.
Everybody, when you're not used to it, though. Yes. When you listen for a while, even he's shown great progress lately, but you don't see him watch closely.
You know, I did put earlier. Everybody, we're all quick to say when you guys screw up. So we, you don't got hit.
Maybe once a year.
We all.
That was some other guy. Right?
What is it? You spend 80% of the time dealing with 20% of the problem because it's more vocal than something else. Yeah, there you go. All right, well, I'm going home. I'm going home. You're not going home. Well, some people have to work, you know.
Yeah. I was telling the sheriff, the last time they did this, I was the subject of they said like 10 minutes, it was like an hour and a half.
Well, I think one of the things, you know, in other towns, all for the public is the first thing. And my understanding is a former mayor is here for.
You're welcome. And then did you go back report?
Or that, or you want to say something?
Well, you know, it's fun work. I think, you know, a lot of people that take action, and then they all are unhappy because they don't get to work.
You wanna know what's going on, you gotta be here.
Well, you know, these all go on YouTube, you know. I don't know anybody that's sitting at home cracking a beer and watching the YouTube version of the town council.
I wonder why.
Well, Todd said from what, ever since they put this new system in, I guess anything you can say here is, you better assume that it's public information. Okay, gentlemen. Yeah. Hey, thanks for coming out.
Yes, in front of our favorite seal.
I know, it's all in the time. It's all in the time. That's quite right. Hello, Susan. I'm Adrian. It's a pleasure to meet you guys. What a brilliant, this is a very well-communicated town.
You know, it's a very special town, especially now.
Sure.
From down here to way up there, everybody's working together. And the wheels going like this.
Feels much more civilized than Texas. What do you mean by that? Oh, yeah, we're in our 16th year of bagpipe drums dance. So, yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
hard-
this
it's
is
hard
the
to-
people that come every year and
Right. Give it another 16 years and, you know, maybe, run for council. I think the high school could use a bagpipe band. Instead of just No, I'm very, absolutely not. We can hire a couple mediocre bagpipers who can walk down the street and play a parade. But yeah, so it's like asking, these guys are super talented. That'd be like asking, you know, Yo-Yo Ma to do a parade with a show. We're doing a performance and a show and a concert, not a novelty board. I don't want to sound like a diva, but it's more of a presentation of music, not something you just walk and wait, you know? It's music appreciation. You know, if that makes sense. Well, if it follows up with a concert, so much the better.
Because the high school, yeah, it's 26 and 27, each volunteership is 4 hours, it's 4 hours, every Saturday or Sunday, turn around. If you can do it, it's really appreciate it. I know, but you're gonna.
Do that on the iPhone.
It's gonna be a great. This could be the biggest, the other states.
Trouble is, we're a festival.
We were.
So it would have to be a Friday or any other day of the week than a Saturday or Sunday, which is our. Yeah, it's the best decade we do a concert in Chandler, downtown. We'd love to get it all apart. We did a drive-by bagpiping at the BSW. Just walked in the door. They love it.
You already know. Oh, yeah, for the tree, yeah. He put it out.
No, they love it.
I love that potato chips, big bag, anybody else, not a problem. But bread, it's sandwich, more than 2 minutes. I would kind of do this. It's sort of maybe the best. We have to schedule it.
recess, but then the next agenda is called for public.
Great, nice.
I'll think about it over, there's a lot of work.
It's right around the corner, so your side of the building.
She'll start off.
Try to squeeze 4 hours. Okay, but give me a call one way or another, because I've got you on my maybe. Okay, thanks.
In there. Yeah. Just where you went home.
Good, how you been? Yes, ma'am.
We're gonna get 2 final banners. True, that we had time or something, I could get somebody to hang them out there a couple days. Oh, okay. I don't do letters.
How does that make
No, the best person to ask for Tom at the VFW, yeah, because they've been doing it the last several years. Yeah. If the weather is good. Is the press, you can never buy the press.
There's just only one thing that I'm like,
Yeah, that would be, yeah. So, and the lineup we have is
If it rains this
fantastic.
Friday, it's a good thing because it's National Step in Water Puddle Flash Your Friend. Okay? So,
Let it rain this Friday. Next week, huh? Anyway.
What's my late Friday night?
See you later.
Making sure that the guys, they know about.
All right, see you later.
Replacement, because they have to.
Yeah, we got to put it on that.
Good, good. All right, so we'll get you a couple banners and we'll get that up tonight. Tom would be the best one on how many. But the other thing is, you know, say the what's that?
Yeah.
Just run over there.
You always help out. You got what he was doing last night.
We're out of this, we're out of this, we're out of this.
There you go.
So what was it? Oh, it was.
Get that IGA.
I can ask him. I can ask Dallas where that's at. I don't know if any
Well, it's good, it's no problem that we're going to be
So we actually had a.
last time I talked to him,
And for one, we had a birthday.
I know.
This was, yeah.
I move to come back.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Ag. Oh, that is not Martin Deloche.
Did you pass Steve in the hallway?
Somebody call me.
Did you pass Steve in the hallway?
Oh,
There you go.
Did you wash your hands?
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Councilmember Aguilar to resume regular session. Is there a second?
I'll say.
Second by Councilmember Lopez. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move back into our action items for the night. Agenda item F. Judge Bravo, we appreciate your time being here with us today and your service to Superior. I do need for, Cooper, can you, for the sake of the record and clarification, it's a legal question. Now that Judge Bravo is no longer our elected JP, does he still remain as our magistrate?
Mayor, council members, the short answer to that is yes. Because the town council appoints magistrate and they set a term. And technically, the term of office has to be at least 2 years. And Judge Bravo has served, I believe, more than 2 years since he was last appointed. But Arizona law requires that if your successor is not appointed, you will remain in office till such time as either you resign from office or a successor is appointed. So as you sit here today, he is still your magistrate.
So we can leave things as be until things with Pinal County get finalized then, correct? Or till we come in with 2 agreements, or we can give ourselves a little bit more time before we make any formal decision?
The council has those options to do that. I'm not really in the loop with regards to the status of the rehabilitation of the Justice Court complex in town. Judge Bravo could address that better than I could. I know originally the target was March or April. I don't know, if that target is moving, moving towards the summer or not.
Okay. Judge Bravo, with that being said, you still have your position as magistrate. Things will continue to run as scheduled, and we're not in the position to change that up at this time. We do not anticipate changing that up until we know more about what is going to be completed with Pinal County. So with that being said, council, do you have any further questions or comments or discussion?
No.
Okay, well, hearing none, I'm going to move on to call to the public. I'm sorry, we've all been here longer than we normally are, so we're just kind of moving right along tonight. If you have anything you wanted to say, but we know where we're at.
Just a couple of things I want to say.
Okay.
Okay, since I retired at the end of December, I did talk to the state retirement, which covers Superior, and I'm also magistrate for the town of Hayden. And it goes under state retirement for those 2. Okay, and I'm gonna collect my state retirement pension. And I inquired with the state about keeping the job, and they said, you can keep the job if you want to. So my understanding is, I talked to them again to verify what was going on. And they told me that I can work 9 hours a week for here, 9 hours a week for Hayden. Okay, now, at this job, we only meet once a month. Okay, for arraignments, pre-trials, and trials. It never goes over 9 hours for that week. So we are safe in that aspect of it. And then they told me that my retirement from the state is not really set in stone. They have to write it all up, and they will send me a letter telling me that I'm officially retiring to the state. At that point, they told me to go back into the system under my name and fill out the part that says that I'm going to continue to work after retirement. And that's all that I have to do in regards to that point. So,
Well, if something changes on your end that you maintaining the magistrate and it affects your retirement, then, please notify Mr. Pryor right away so that way we can make adjustments as needed. I believe that, we're not in a position to make any action tonight or reaffirm this, but based on statute, you remain the magistrate until someone else is appointed or you are actually reappointed. This is not an action item tonight. It was really a clarifying matter matter for council to get a briefing, and, you know, I think well, as we're in this transition period, that you need to communicate with Ruby and Mr. Pryor, because they handle the employment relationship.
As soon as the status officially changes in the retirement, the accruals that we take out of paychecks change, and that's the significant change.
Okay.
Okay, as soon as the IGA is set forth, okay, and get the ball rolling on that, I don't have a problem stepping down and let them, the rest of the piece take over the magistrate court.
And we're just not sure where that all comes into be. The county hasn't moved forward on that.
And I would like to say, I've been your magistrate for 12 years, and I really, really have enjoyed it.
We appreciate your service.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, well, with that being said, council, I think that answers all of our questions, and we're fully up to speed on that. I'm going to move forward with call to the public. I see that Jim Shank is no longer in the building, Sue Anderson is no longer in the building. Does anyone else, Rick?
I'll
3
try and make
minutes.
this brief. I know everybody wants to go home. I have a couple things. I'm going to take care of what Sue was going to talk about, and that is the home tour. Just a reminder, it's January 26th and 27th. We expect this to be by far the biggest home tour we've ever had. We have the high school on it, the old high school. We have the Magma Hotel, and hopefully they'll be showing the bar across the street. We have the Rock Motel, which is now called Element 29, and I believe we have 6 homes too. Is that correct?
And we have 6 altogether.
6 altogether.
We lost one, we're still trying to reconcile.
So, anyway, should be great. We're in very much need of volunteers. The high school alone is going to take 44 volunteers for 2 days. So, especially anybody that went to school there, we want to make sure you guys are at the high school, and then we need them everywhere else. So I think we have a total of somewhere around 120 some volunteers we need this year because of the hotel. So that's like double what we used to. So anybody that can volunteer, we would appreciate it. Now the next thing is, we have a project called the Canal Avenue Project. I'm going to, maybe you guys can pass these down. This is the flyer that we just completed. And we got some help from our wonderful mayor on that flyer, by the way, so don't criticize.
Don't criticize, it was a learning lesson for the team.
Anyway, this is the project that the Chamber of Commerce and Rebuild have taken on. It's a pretty big project. It's nothing that we've never done anything like this before. We're going to clean up, fix up, and paint as much as necessary on the entire street of Canal, from the bottom to the top. We're going to start out on January 19th doing weed eating on hopefully all the empty lots that we can get access to. And I just had a meeting with Dr. Wolf today, getting access to his properties, and he's doing a bunch of work ahead of time. And then we're in the process, Jim Shank, John Britton, Pete Castillo, Jim Green, and myself are on this committee. We're going around, also Beto is, we're going around to each resident, getting, we've created a form, we'll fill out the form with them on what's necessary. There's a lot of houses that don't need paint, there's houses that don't need anything at all, but if they need paint, if they need cleanup, if they need fixed up, we're filling out their form. It's probably a year-long project, but we're going to kick this off, like I said, the first part is January 19th, we'll start weed eating and trimming, but the main kickoff is February 2nd, where we have 500 LDS kids with their supervisors coming Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Because there's so many, a couple things are happening. We're doing 2 groups, one from 9 to 11 and one from 12 to 2. We're also going to work on the Caboose Park. I walked that the other day with Anthony. We're lined out. We're actually going to split the kids up. We're gonna put 250 over at the Caboose Park and 250 on Canal. So we've got a lot of raking, cleanup and such all lined out for Caboose Park. And we're in the process of dialing it in on Canal, which is obviously the main project, but that's the one that's more extensive in having to talk to every resident in there. So we're excited about this. It's going to be quite a project. If we can get this out of under our belt and we can be successful, you know, I'm really pushing that we can do what we say we're going to do. We're going to start on February 2nd. We're going to have these kids there. In late February, Resolution is working on a commitment to send us 30 people that can go in there and do the fix-up part of it. We'll be replacing some soffits, we'll be fixing some minor things outside. So that's kind of our fix-up plan. And then after that, we'll start power washing, we'll start painting, and you know, start, we've already got a half a dozen houses that say they want to be painted. They need to be power washed, some of them, whatever, but.
Rick, I think we've gotten pretty close to that 3 minutes.
Okay.
So,
Okay, well, last thing is we're really trying to do a community partnership here. We want the residents to be part of this. This isn't just us going in there and cleaning them up. We're really pushing for the residents to get their kids, their grandkids, their uncles, aunts, bring them in and have them help us on this project.
Thank you. We appreciate all your efforts. It's going to be a great project. Okay. Last call for calling the public. We're only over by about 45 seconds. You're on. Last call for call to the public. Hearing none, we're going to move on to council comments. Council, do you have any? We'll start with Councilmember Aguilar.
That's what
Newly appointed. You're first.
Well, all I can say is, another year, we're gonna work hard and make sure we go forward and make Superior great again.
Councilmember Armitage.
Ditto, and I'd just like to one more time say, give the staff a big thank you for the clean audit that we got, and not just that, but I mean, for cleaning up the last, what is it, 3 to 4 years? Audits. I mean, that's a milestone for the town. It was like a cloud hanging over our head. You guys, you and the staff did a tremendous job, and I just, again, I think it needs to be said again. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Lopez.
Just did what they said too. I mean, I know you guys worked really hard and, you know, it was a mess. 4 years ago was a mess. We're so behind, but now you can actually go in there and find what you're looking for, which is really great. So thank you for your hard work.
Councilmember Navarrete.
I don't have anything, thank you.
Councilmember Estatico.
Just a couple of things. Just want to be reminiscent if I didn't mention that. Longtime Superior Secretary Karen Cole passed away last week. She was my athletic secretary for 8 years. Great lady. So we will miss her, and our thoughts go out to the family. I want to welcome Mr. Bruce Armitage to the Superior Governing Board. He took over yesterday, and one good thing that's happening at Superior School District, we'll have fiber optics hopefully by next Friday. So,
Vice Mayor Alonso.
welcome.
Happy New Year, everyone. I mean, we've had a lot of good news to share, and just keep on moving forward. So thank you all. With that being said, we have a motion to adjourn. So Councilmember Lopez, there's a motion.
Second.
Oh, Todd, do you have anything? Sorry.
I do not, thank
Oh,
you.
and everybody can read the council upcoming meetings. I don't need to read the agenda. There's a motion on the floor to adjourn by Councilmember Lopez. There's a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Alonso. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. Thank you, everyone, for attending our longest meeting in Avenue. Yeah, we might do that. Yes.